Mountain Dew Original or Mountain Dew Baja Blast?
You really put me on the spot here. I got teams that are going to be frustrated one way or the other.
I am here with Michael Smith from PepsiCo. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me.
What do you think of Montana?
My first time. Love it. Beautiful. Definitely feel like I've gotten away, which was part of the goal, but incredibly beautiful.
Any favorite activities? Are you a cowboy now?
I think I'm definitely a cowboy now.
Me too, cowgirl.
I would say I'm not wearing my hat currently, but I feel like it's looking good. And favorite activity? Horseback riding. My first time, and now I feel like a natural.
I love it. Michael got to ride Big Jim, which was a treasured horse. Okay, let's talk about marketing. Michael, you are a prolific marketing leader, and you've been with PepsiCo for many, many years. Can you talk about one marketing lesson that you've learned at PepsiCo that you think each next generation marketing leader needs to know?
Wow, incredible question. And prolific, I'm not sure, but I do my best. I would say the one lesson that I've really taken to heart is that all brands will grow if they act in service to their consumer. If you truly believe and act as if you are the owner of the consumer relationship and you want to understand consumers' lives, what they're passionate about, and really look for ways and opportunities for your brands and products to solve problems for consumers and do so in a way that's unique and differentiated from the rest of your competitive set, you will be successful. When you spend less time focused on what your consumer needs and more time focused on what your retail partners might be asking for, or what your internal teams feel like they need, that's when you can lose your way a little bit. I think that if you are maniacally focused on the consumer, you'll always be successful.
Consumer obsession is key to success in the world of marketing. And between crowded shelves, endless new flavors, how does your team at PepsiCo ensure your brands are showing up in ways that feel distinctively Pepsi?
Another great question. Distinctively Pepsi. I think that, as you noted, competition's gotten incredibly fierce. The barriers to entry from a communication and distribution and product development perspective have all fallen precipitously, and so we have to compete that much more effectively. I think for us, understanding what our brands stand for and being willing to optimize that to different consumer segments and the realities of their lives and how they use our brands has allowed us to compete a bit more effectively. So I think historically, brands have fallen into the trap of really just pushing whatever they want to say at consumers. I think what we've started to do a really good job of is understand what our consumers' needs are, understand what our brands can deliver, and then being really open to communicating with our consumers in the ways that are most valuable to them and tailoring our messaging more discreetly to what they truly need and want.
I think one place where you all do that really well is Mountain Dew. And when you look at, Dew Crew, like there's so much fandom and love around this yellow beverage and other colors too. How do you decide what needs to stay consistent for Mountain Dew and where you can flex a little bit creatively to reflect what your consumers are craving?
Yeah, that's a great question, and Mountain Dew is definitely one of my favorite trademarks, and I think one of the definitely brand jewels within our organization.
How do you feel about Baja Blast? Because I love Baja Blast.
Who doesn't love Baja Blast? Such an amazing flavor, something that we built in partnership with Taco Bell over the last 20 to 25 years, and it's something that continues to grow, something that consumers continue to love, and I think that's what's so interesting about the Mountain Dew brand is when we talk about kind of our core Dew, and we talk about green Dew a lot as kind of the core of the brand, there's a lot about the trademark that hasn't changed. It's a uniquely American brand, and the attributes that consumers tie to it are very much the attributes that they tie to kind of their lives as American citizens. And so we try to stay really true to that core Dew consumer when we think about that product. I mean, it was something that was developed by two brothers in the foothills of Tennessee in the 1930s and 40s.
That explains my love for it.
There you go. But we try to truly represent that heritage and everything that we do across the trademark. But I think as we've built out a much broader portfolio and flavor set around Dew, we've been really conscious of bringing in new consumers, of giving them the flavors that they're asking for, and while staying true to that heritage, continuing to modernize the brand and make it relevant to consumers today. And I think we've done that through a lot of the flavor proliferation, and I think Baja is a great example of that.
Yeah, and I mean, you all are always doing so many fun things with Dew, whether that's in sports or even on things like live streams. Can you maybe give a little insight into how that came to be? I was cracking up hysterically along with thousands of other people on TikTok watching the Dew live stream.
Yeah, and
there was like an eagle shirt, if I recall correctly.
Oh, yes. Eagle shirts, bears, all kinds of fun design elements. And again, I think it all comes back to understanding the consumer that you're in service to, and understanding what the brand means to that consumer. Once you have those foundational aspects in place, how and where you activate just becomes a conscious choice around what's right for the consumer in the time frame in which you're marketing. So for us, historically, we've done a lot of larger platform partnerships, and so we've done a lot of work in sports. We've done a lot of work in music. There have been a lot of places where the brand has shown up. I think that as the consumer has evolved, we've tried to get really thoughtful around how we make the brand successful in social and how we bring the ethos of the brand to social. And so I think you're seeing that in some of the work that we've done, particularly the most recent live stream. And that was focused much less on Mountain Dew product benefits, but it was very focused on the Americana nature of the brand, the nostalgia for the brand, and how we bring that to life in a really fun way for young modern day consumers. And so we thought that going live was a great way to do that. We thought that fun merch was a great way to do that. But it all comes back to communicating the same attributes around what's made this brand great.
I love that. And Mountain Dew has these deep roots in youth culture, while sparkling beverage brands often partner with things that are a little more like health conscious. A lot of what you just talked about was more like culture conscious and participating in culture, sports, music, live streams, creator communities, of which there is just rabid fandom of for Dew. How do you approach co-creation with these communities?
Yeah, again, another great question. I think that for us, we're cognizant of trend on the product side, and we make sure that we're delivering that for our consumers, but we're also conscious around what they're asking for from our brand. So
they want their Baja Blast in grocery.
They absolutely do, which now they can get. And so I think that where we've really focused on staying relevant is understanding youth culture, and that moves incredibly quickly. As far as what consumers are interested in, where they spend their time, how they interact with their peer groups. All of these are things that we have to stay incredibly close to and be willing to evolve the brand in a way that's relevant to that consumer. And so when you look at Mountain Dew work from the 1990s, you're going to see a very different articulation of the brand than you might see today. Foundational principles still the same, but you see the brand showing up less in action sports. You see the brand showing up a little bit less actually in gaming, which is a bit surprising, but you do see the brand cultivating itself in social, and you do see the way that we're building content looking differently. And that's because the consumer has changed, technology has changed, where youth culture lives has changed. And so we've had to adapt and make the appropriate changes to make sure that we still represent that consumer in the right way. And so again, who's the right consumer for you? What are the things that you're unwilling to shift about what the brand stands for? And then how do you articulate that in the right way?
And how do you ensure that brand storytelling feels authentic year after year, decade after decade, and remains a staple in consumers' household shelves? It seems like you all are observing. You're not trend chasing, but you're really choosing when to participate strategically.
I mean, I think you answered the question. To be perfectly honest, at the end of the day, I think authenticity is at more of a premium now than it ever has been, especially because there is so much out in the world that feels inauthentic or feels fundamentally unreal. And I think that's why you see consumers grasping for more experiential, more things that they can kind of wrap their arms around, more content that feels specific to them and to their life experience. And so I think for a brand like Do, it's really about understanding, what the brand stands for, what's true to the brand, how you articulate that, how you storytell around it, the places you storytell around it. They can all change. That's all fungible, based on, again, society, technology, culture, where things are moving. But as long as you're true to Do, do the Do has been the tagline on this brand for 30 years. What it means to consumers has probably changed a little bit over time, but that's still that fundamental get off your ass, get outside,
do the do.
Fun, do the do, still remains. And again, whether that's, hopping on a BMX bike in the 90s, or hitting a country festival in 2026, the underlying idea is the same. And so it gives you a lot of license to storytell in different ways.
Yeah, and it's funny because there are so many brands across the PepsiCo portfolio, and I think Do is one of the ones with the most active fans, participants, like the Reddit threads on Do. This is all user generated for free. They love posting about Mountain Dew. They love sharing their perspective. Are there any other brands in the portfolio that you've worked on where you see that same level of fandom, or is this really one of one?
Wow, that's a great question. As someone who's biased, I want to say it's one of one, and I do think part of that is because Mountain Dew represents something for the consumer that's bigger than the product itself.
I think it's that, and like the distinctive green color is truly something that like that Pantone or whatever it is just like that couldn't be anything besides Mountain Dew.
Yes, you are not going to imitate how the Mountain Dew brand shows up. But again, I think it comes back to what we represent for the consumer, the values that we represent. All of that is timeless. And again, we storytell that in different ways, but the values are timeless. And so it allows the brand to mean more to them than just what am I going to choose to drink for any individual occasion. I will say the brand within our portfolio that I feel like has a somewhat similar fan base and a similar sense of meaning amongst its consumers is probably Gatorade. Gatorade and its connection to sports and athletes, and what that brand means for athletes, the badge that it is for athletes, I think is something similar to what Do represents for its consumers.
I'm going to also throw out Flamin' Hot, which also has such a fandom around Flamin' Hot franchise.
Love Flamin' Hot. Love our friends on the food side.
Michael Smith, thank you so much for being on Marketing for the Now.
Avery, thank you so much.